Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content I've been putting up, be sure to subscribe so you always know when a new video pops up. Now that we got that part out of the way, let's get into the video. Final Fantasy XIV is a massive game with thousands of hours of content. What I'm going to do here is break down some of the major plot points for those of you who want to know more about Eorzea, but may not have time to experience it all firsthand. This time, we're covering the third part of the Save the Queen storyline. When we last left off, Bozja had kidnapped Makoto, and using her knowledge and your desire to save your friend, she had made you help her unlock the power of the Save the Queen sword, summon the essence of Queen Gunhilda, and take over the minds of Gunhilda's blades. Since that day, the Battle of the Southern Front has been going poorly, despite the fact that the Bozjans have been getting help from the Dalmascans as well as the Domans. Bozja appears on the battlefield at random, summoning Gunhilda and either wiping out large groups of Bozjans or taking control of them. Bozjan thinks that Bozja could wipe them all out at once if she wanted to, but Bozja doesn't think the situation is that hopeless. Him and the other Dalmascans think that the 4th Legion is low on resources. Since Varys died, Garlemald has been in the middle of a civil war, and despite orders, Gabranth refuses to bring the 4th Legion back to Garlemald. He plans on building his own nation in Dalmasca, and with him separating from the Empire, he has severely limited the troops that he can use. He figured the same thing, and launched an attack of his own against the Legion, stopping even the small amount of reinforcements that they can muster from reaching Bozja. However, they still have the tempered blades on their side, but since you brought the Scions back to the source, you and the Scions have learned how to reverse tempering, although it does take a lot of ether and can't really be done on the battlefield. Makoto blames herself, claiming that if she hadn't been captured then none of this would have happened. Geralt of all people talks a bit of sense into her, because if her being captured is the reason Gunhilda's blades got tempered, then he's even more to blame for forging their weapons in the first place. At the end of the day, the blame lies with one person, Bozja. Speaking of her, a soldier runs up telling you all that she's appeared on the battlefield again. Makoto runs off to see, and not wanting her to get killed, you follow. Since you're the only other person who can't be tempered, Marsak and the others stay behind. You find Makoto spying on Bozja as she confronts the Bozjan soldiers who had tormented her for her lowborn status, something that one of them does even while he's on his knees in front of her. I respect that. He stuck to his prejudiced convictions right up until Bozja used the Queen's power to temper him. Lion chides her for not tempering the other two, until she orders her new slave to kill his former friends. She trades a few words with Lion about having already set up the next part of her plan and not needing him to order her around. Clearly there's some bad blood there, especially when he pretends not to see you while loudly announcing that he's been ordered not to help her to let you know that he won't interfere if you try to stab the woman. When he leaves, Makoto's echo activates, showing you both a vision of Bozja leading a squad of soldiers toward a Bozjan ruin where you, Makoto, and the Bozjans ambush her. She tries to summon Gunhilda, but the crystal focus is out of ether. The vision ends, and the two of you return to Gongos to let the others know what you saw. Makoto has come to the conclusion that the thing Bozja is summoning isn't a primal or icon at all. She thinks the sword Save the Queen was imbued with the memories of Queen Gunhilda when she died, and Bozja has been using the crystal focus to draw them out. A lot like something you have a lot of experience with. Auracite. The Save the Queen is quite possibly a sword made entirely out of auracite. It's something that you've never seen before, but between the sword and the crystal foci, it all seems like Allegan technology, although how the Bozjans got it is anybody's guess. I'd say they stole it when they were at war with them in ancient times, which is most likely, or they had an Allegan friend who gave it to them as a gift. That's not important. What really matters is that the image of the queen that Bozja summoned in Castrum was only a small bit of the queen's power. The true power is still locked in the sword, and if Bozja manages to do what the original queen did and become the vessel for the sword's power, then there's no telling how strong she'll be. The image of the queen is something that the Warrior of Light could probably beat in a straight-up fight. A full-powered Queen Gunhilda may be too much even for her. Fortunately, Bozja hasn't found enough crystals to do what she needs, or she would have already done it, and you need to act now if you want to stop her. Either kill her or take the sword from her. Either way, it'll end her summonings once and for all. After what Makoto saw in her vision, she believes that's more plausible than the Bozjans think. The sightings of Bozja and the Queen have been fewer and fewer, and while the Bozjans think it's because that they've been engaging their enemies less, Makoto thinks it's because the crystal focus is running out of ether, and the amount of times Bozja can summon the Queen are running out. and you know firsthand how much time it took to even find the right ether stores to fill the crystal the first time. Once it's drained, it takes even longer for the land to produce that same type of ether again. Her theory would explain why Bozja had only tempered one of her former tormentors instead of all three, and after letting your friends know about the vision you had of ambushing Bozja at the ruins during the storm, the Bozjans get a little more hopeful about their chances, especially when a call comes in that a storm is brewing on the southern front. Marsek and the others prepare their forces, and you and Makoto join them to go hunt down Bozja once and for all. Makoto's vision is extremely accurate, and you find Bozja right where you expected. And just like in the vision, when she goes to summon the queen, it doesn't work. However, the vision had ended too early. If it hadn't, you would have seen the Magitech war machines break through the wall to surround you and your allies. Bozja knows that Makoto had used her gifts to see what would happen. However, Bozja now has that gift too. She seemingly gave it to herself by using the machine she had hooked Makoto to when she'd taken her prisoner. So instead of having the upper hand, this turns into a fight that Makoto joins. Bozja came prepared, complete with new high-tech flight armor. While you and the others deal with the armor, Makoto faces off against Bozja on her own. You down the armor, but more of Bozja's mind-controlled troops show up to delay you while her allies get the doors open. One of the suits goes to kill Makoto, but Rostic, the gunbreaker who trained Thancred, shows up along with Bozja and more reinforcements. Bozja summons Gunhilda's blades to guard her back while she goes into the ruins, and Makoto chases her. Either the woman is suicidal, or she's gotten way more confident in her combat abilities. Either way, she's going to end up dead. Fortunately for her, you follow while some of the others deal with the Magitech. Makoto still can't remember what Bozja did to her after she tied her up, but she does know that if the woman is putting so much effort into getting into the ruins, that she knows the crystals she needs are inside. And if you don't stop her, she'll complete her mission and absorb the full power of the Save the Queen and will become the second coming of Queen Gunhilda herself. So you, Makoto, and a few other members of the Resistance head deeper into the ruins to confront the woman, her guards, and whatever trap she set for you. The first thing you face calls itself Trinity Seeker, and in some twisted way, Bozja has fused three of the members of Gunhilda's blades, Blaz, Velibor, and Aji, into a single creature. You bring down your former allies and head deeper into the ruins, facing monsters, machines, and even the dead who are drawn back to fight for their queen, until you come across another monster formed from the tempered blades. This one is made up of Zevin, Isolde, and Stanek. While a cure for tempering has been found, it doesn't work on people who are too far gone. And while I'm no expert, I think having your ether fused into a deformed, monstrous body counts as too far gone. After finishing off more of your former allies, you reach the bottom of the ruins where Bozja stands before a giant crystal. Using it to absorb the power of the sword into her body, she becomes the new Queen Gunhilda. She is as powerful as you feared, and now killing her is the only way to end this. However, when she realizes that your power rivals hers, she decides that if she can't rule Bozja, then she'll destroy it. But as she channels her power, a vision of the former queen appears and whispers something to her, causing her to stop fighting and transform back to normal. The others arrive to see Bozja down with a smile on her face, and surprisingly when Makoto checks the woman, she isn't dead. There's no time to wait around, so you all grab her and leave before more Imperials show up. Back at your base on the southern front, Bozjan and the others celebrate the fact that not only did you apprehend Bozja, but you recovered the blade. It did come at a high price, but now they can continue their fight against the Legion. Makoto is still worried about Bozja, who they have locked up in Gongos. Marsek plans on having her stand trial once the Legion's been dealt with. While he understands that his people's treatment of hers is what made her turn traitor, it's no excuse for what she did. And I disagree. The entire reason the Bozjans are fighting the Empire is because of how the Garleans treat people who are different from them. And judging by the way the Bozjans treat the so-called lowborn, they don't disagree with the Garleans' form of oppression. They just want the right to be the oppressor, which even if they get their land back from the Garleans, they'll eventually be on the receiving end of a resistance against them. As for the Save the Queen, Rostic tried to destroy it, but he couldn't even make a dent in it, so they decided to give it to Makoto since she's the best person to have the weapon. That way she can study it and find a way to put it to good use. The moment she touches it, the echo hits her, and she sees a vision of herself falling out of an airship and plummeting to her death. You see it too, and you all decide to head back to Gongos to rest. Before you leave, you see a fleet of Garlean ships fly over as the Legion's reinforcements finally arrive. With airships at their command, there's little the Bozjans can do to fight them, and it seems like this war has gone from bad to worse. But one way or another, it's all about to come to an end very, very soon. This concludes the third part of the Save the Queen storyline. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the next part of the story.